Hello there, welcome back to 0 to 60 Motoring. Once again, my name is Bill Siotuori, and this is a 2016 Toyota Noah. So we've just scouted this unit from Mombasa, and I'm delivering it to Nairobi and then to Kisii County. So we subjected this car to all the necessary checks to ensure that it is in an immaculate condition, matters the mechanical health and even the body condition, because this is a slightly locally used car. So I'm going to give you a short review of this car. So if you've been looking for information about this car, hang around until the end of this video. So if you want a car like this one, you can ring us on the number below such that we scout a clean car for you. You can also check our car reviews on a 0 to 60 Motoring socials, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and most importantly, our YouTube channel. So this is a family car basically because it is an 8-seater, but sometimes it can be offered with 7 seats, whereby the difference is normally in the second row seats. So the rivals to this car come up in the form of the Honda Step Wagon, the Nissan Serena, and the Mitsubishi Delica, which is one of the most underrated cars in the Kenyan market. So sometimes the Toyota Noah can be dressed differently. That's whereby you have its twin, that is the Toyota Voxy, and also something like the Toyota Esquire. So the Voxy, Esquire, and the Noah, those cars are mechanically identical. If you like, you can say they have a similar mechanical DNA because the engines are the same, albeit with different badges here and there, and the lights are designed. While the Toyota Noah, Voxy, and the Esquire have a similar mechanical DNA, I find that the Voxy is somewhat sporty, especially when it has something like a body kit. And now, speaking of a similar mechanical DNA, let's understand what powers the 2016 Toyota Noah. So powering this 2016 Toyota Noah is a 2000cc natural aspirated petrol engine, which is also called a 3ZR. It is the same engine you're going to find in cars like the Toyota Harrier, the G Superior version of the Toyota Premio, and the Allion 820 3ZR motor. Now that is the first engine. If you're going to purchase this, it can also be found with a hybrid flavor for those people who are looking for fuel efficiency, whereby the hybrid one is offered with a 1.8 liter coupled with a battery pack. Now, those are the only two engines that you're going to get if you're going to purchase a 2016 Toyota Noah, Toyota Voxy, or even the Toyota Esquire. Now, these are 2-liter petrol engine makes around 150 HP and 200 Newton meters of torque. In most cases, that power is sent to the front wheels via continuous variable transmission. But in this specific car, power goes to all the 4 wheels because this is an all-wheel drive car. Basically, if you want to understand the difference, or if you want to identify an all-wheel drive car from a front-wheel drive car, you can look at the chassis number. So for the all-wheel drive variation like this one, the chassis number will be something like ZRR85, while the two-wheel drive will be ZRR8. It's just like the markets, GRX135, GRX130, Premium 265, 260. So the most accurate way of knowing whether the car is an all-wheel drive car or a front-wheel drive car is looking underneath these. So here you can actually see the drive shafts, or the shafts actually that are sending power to all the wheels, and you can see something like a diff. That is actually the most accurate way of checking whether the car is an all-wheel drive car or a front-wheel drive car. So the 4-wheel one or all-wheel one will have those drive shafts, and you will see actually a big drive shaft from the front to the back. But at the front-wheel drive, everything happens at the front. You'll not see that big drive shaft that is sending power to the rear wheels. Very many people purchasing family cars, design or beauty may not be their thing. So in terms of design, there is not much to talk about this car. On the side profile of this Toyota Noah, you have a 15-inch alloy rims, but these one are actually aftermarket wheels, and they have these are all-terrain tires. I'm not a big fan of these tires because they are very loud on the highway, and sometimes they can take a toll on fuel efficiency. Now, this being a family car, it should be easy to get in and out. On the front, this is how the spacing looks like. I think the amount of headroom and the knee room is very okay. Now, the 8-seater Noah normally has this middle seat here. For the 7-seater Noahs, this middle seat is the one that is absent. That's why sometimes it can be offered as a 7-seater or as an 8-seater. The difference is normally this second row seat. So these are very spacious car. You have a good knee room, headroom, and you can also fit a child seat like what we've done here. On this third row seat, you have a sitting for 3 people, but at the knee room here is now cramped up, and I think this is a space meant for kids. So that is how the spacing element of this 2016 Toyota Noah looks like. And another thing I forgot to say, this seat can actually be reclined, which actually means that it's going to be, you can actually have some sleep on this seat. Now, because this is a family car, you also need some good boot space. But unfortunately, the space may not be as massive, especially when this third row seat is up. So this is the amount of boot space you have, and it's good that we have briefcases here, so that you can tell on how practical it's going to be. So sometimes if the car is fully loaded, the trunk space may not be as good. But when there are only 2 seats in use, 2 rows of seats in use, then you can also lower these back seats here, and you're going to have some good trunk space. How does this 2016 Toyota Noah drive? Definitely, if this is a people move or a family car, so you should not be expecting a GTI-like handling. The sitting position or the view of the road is good because you are like someone who's seated in a crossover. So basically, the view ahead is actually pretty good. The suspension on this car is very soft. That is how I can actually put it, especially when it's stock, like what is on this car. Now, I'm on a very rough road. Well, it's a tarmac. The stretcher between Voi, 10 kilometers from Voi, I actually can put your suspension to test, especially when you are doing crazy speeds. Of course, there are lots of trucks ahead of me, so I don't have a chance of speeding such that I can tell how it's going to handle at those speeds. But then, you can tell that the suspension is soft, and it's actually absorbing those road imperfections very well. So in terms of power delivery, let me put these 2-liter into test by overtaking here. Now, what you may not like about this Toyota, now of course, very many car people know, is that the CVT gearbox can be really loud, especially when you put your foot down, especially when you're overtaking. It can actually be pretty loud. Now, I don't have a problem with the power delivery of this car. That is 150 HP and 200 Newton meters of torque, because I know this is a family car. Driving on Mombasa road can be an extreme sport. So hapa lazima ukanyage nje ndo urudi tena. So the 2-liter petrol engine here is not a powerful engine, and sometimes you can feel like that the weight of this car, actually the power to weight ratio is poor. But then when I'm reviewing a family car, my interest is not about the power delivery, because for a family car, you want something that can go from A to B without unnecessary dramas. Of course, when you put your foot down to overtake, you have to time your calculations well, especially when the car is loaded, and sometimes you can feel like the weight of the car and the passengers or whatever you're carrying may actually feel like it's overwhelming. These are 2000cc petrol engine. So definitely someone who's purchasing this Toyota Noah, speed or performance should not be on their priority list, because this should be a family car or a mover's car. Of course, I've been carried in Noah and the Voxes that normally fly the upcountry roads, and they are driven excessively carelessly, because sometimes you find the drivers putting their foot down really to extract power, and that way they end up killing the transmission. So from what I've really learned with these Toyota Noahs, the ICs and the Toyota Wish, if you want your transmission to live for a long time, you should not be that person who is always on the accelerator pedal, or maybe you overload the car and you want to extract maximum performance. That is why sometimes I've seen very many complaints online from people asking about transmissions. Maybe their transmission died while the car still has a lower mileage. Basically, it's because a CVT gearbox cannot withstand something that is, let me say, harsh driving. You overload the car and you drive it carelessly from Nairobi to Kisumu and back, because maybe you have a target of trips you should make. Definitely, that gearbox is going to give up. It's not like the 4-speed automatic gearbox that it was in the other generation of the Toyota Noah. This one is actually very, very delicate. So if you have an aggressive driving style, that definitely spells doom for your gearbox. So If you want your Toyota Noah gearbox to live longer, you have to be, let me say, soft on the accelerator pedal. Let the transmission do the job on its own. Otherwise, if you are rough on the car, you want to go to Kisumu and back on the same day with the passengers and you are very hard on the gas pedal, definitely that transmission is not going to live for a long time. On a smooth road like this stretch where I am now, the no actually handles very well. It's actually very settled. But then these off-road tires can actually bring in a lot of road noise. So if you install this kind of tires, you have to be prepared for that kind of noise. So that is why I actually don't like these rubbers, especially on a car like this one. They make sense on an off-roader, something like maybe a Land Cruiser Prado, something like a Toyota Hilux, those kind of cars. But on a family car like this one, sometimes they can actually let in a lot of road noise. Now, someone who's purchasing the Toyota Noah, definitely they are also looking at something like fuel economy. Now, while I've tried to drive this Noah conservatively, the fuel numbers may not be as impressive as someone could think, but I am hoping that they'll be improving because I'm seeing figures in the region of 11 kilometers per liter. I don't know whether it's because these are an all-wheel drive car or it's because of the off-road tires on the car, but definitely I'm hoping that the numbers are going to get better with time. When you're purchasing a family car, I think reliability is also something that you should be keen on. Now, for this 2-liter here 3ZR motor, I'd say it's a fairly reliable engine, and I've not heard of many problems or serious issues with it. With just a normal maintenance, it should actually run without skipping a bit. Same case for the transmission. If you give it the right treatment, and most importantly, you drive and you load it sensibly, it should also survive for a very long time without much dramas. Now, for the hybrid variations, that is the 1.8 liter, you should be keen, of course, on the battery pack and ensure that you don't get into regions whereby maybe water will get into the battery. And that way, I think for also that car, you are still going to get it as a reliable package. So other things that can normally go wrong in this car, away from maybe the gearbox sometimes, is the sliding doors. Sometimes they normally fail. So you have to maybe to use them, the manual option, that is mechanically, but it's something that can actually be fixed. It's a very big problem, not only in this Noah, but also in cars like the Toyota Isuzu, the Porsche, the Sped. Basically, these cars that they are tailored to look like family cars, these are sliding doors. They sometimes have a high failure rate. Now, when you're looking at the pricing of the 2016 Toyota Noah, for a local used one, the price is not definite because it boils down to the condition of the car and the reasons for selling. We got this car for 1.95 million shillings. Basically, it is in a very good shape because it was slightly used. But if you want to purchase a new one, that is the one that is not local used, maybe a 2018 one, you are going to pay around 2.6 million shillings for a top spec variation of the Noah, Voxy, or even the Esquire. So that is how the pricing of these cars look like. So how is the value for money element for these 2016 Toyota Noah? Now, if you are looking for a family car that will seat 7 or 8 people, definitely you must have a Toyota Noah, Voxy, or Esquire on your list. But if you feel like they are expensive, you can also look at the Nissan Serena or even the Honda Step Wagons. All those cars are good cars for the family. But if you feel like you want a powerful car, I find that the Mitsubishi Delica in a turbo diesel the best car in this class. That is why I was saying initially, it is an underrated car. So that is a short review of this 2016 Toyota Noah. I'm now 350 kilometers from Mombasa, 136 to Nairobi CBD. So far, my fuel consumption is 11.5 kilometers per liter. Everything is okay, and I'm satisfied with this car. So if you have a question regarding this car or the Vox or the Esquire, you can ask it on our social media platforms. And if you want to scout a clean car for you, you can also call us, say that we organize on how to go about that process. All right, guys, bye for now. I'll see you on the next one on 0 to 60 motoring.